Welcome back. The markets are cratering, and today we're going to be kind of breaking down what is going on in this special report on the Cryptoviser podcast. Give the video a thumbs up and also hit subscribe. So, we have seen Bitcoin come down from $100,000 to $87,000 over the last few days. Now, a lot of people are freaking out saying the markets are cratering, everything's going down. Well, I mean, if you look at the 7-day chart, we're only down 7.4%, and the 24-hour chart down 8%. I mean, the higher we go, the larger the swings are potentially going to be. And remember what I've been saying for a while. We are going to, we've already been seeing this rotation out of Solana. A lot of this has to do with the meme coin liquidity drain that, again, we've been talking about extensively on this channel. Look for the video that says the Solana drain game. But so typically, from what I have seen in the crypto market specifically, is when there is a market rotation, you see huge swings either to the upside or the downside. When we're going into a bear market, you see the huge swing to the upside, market top, and then we start going down. And in between, there's going to be moves, you know, higher, lower, and sideways trading. But what I think is really important, I'm going to show you guys this chart from 2020, which makes me think that we're kind of on a different trajectory. And by the way, this is not just the crypto markets, the stock markets are down pretty substantially as well. You can see Tesla's down 8.3%. I'm recording this in the middle of the trading day. Let's look at the largest losers in the market. Hims and Hers down 24%, Sempra 19%. So there's a lot that are down, right? Across the board, it's pretty much all the markets. So this is a pan sell-off. Everything is coming down. For what reasons? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of different reasons. But are we done with the downward trajectory? Tomorrow in the morning, I'm going to be posting a video that's going to be going a little bit more in depth. And we're going to go through the debt situation. We're going to go through what the Federal Reserve is doing. And I'm also going to show you what some of the traders in the market believe is going on, not only in crypto, but in the overall markets. And by the way, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. It's completely free. If you want to help support, click the join button down below to learn more about becoming a channel member, or you can also use the super chats down in the comments. And so if we look at some of the Bitcoin mining companies like Marathon Digital, Mara, I mean, we've come down substantially just from on the 1 year chart from 2024. We were at $31 and now we're at $12. This is a 60% decline in 1 year. And this is pretty much across the board with all the Bitcoin mining companies. We've been talking about Bitfarms lately. And by the way, the week that I'm recording this video, most of these Bitcoin mining companies are having their meetings, like their shareholder meetings, where they're going to be talking about earnings. And Bitfarms may be acquiring or is going to be acquiring Stronghold Digital, but you can see on the 6-month chart down 52%, on the 1 year chart down 70%. So, I mean, anybody who's basically bought in the last year, a lot of these Bitcoin mining companies is in the red. Tesla down 8.5%. The big one, MicroStrategy, right? Which outside of a pan sell-off, I wouldn't be so surprised because we know that MicroStrategy is continuing to sell shares onto the open market. That way they can purchase more Bitcoin with that money. But I do think that this is potentially a little bit oversold. You can see on the 5-day chart, we're down 26% in MicroStrategy. Same thing going on over with Coinbase as well. On the 5-day chart, down 21%, the 1-month chart, 25%, and year to date, down 15 or 16%. So there's a lot of different mechanics that are going on here. And again, tomorrow's video, we're going to be going a little bit more in depth about it, but I wanted to kind of get this video out to kind of maybe ease some fears about what this is, right? Which is basically probably a lot of liquidation events. And if we look at the fear and greed index, you can see that we are in almost extreme fear, but we're not just there yet. We're just in the fear, according to the coin market cap, at least, fear and greed index. Anyway, moving on. So one of the things that I was looking at is like, what do the chart patterns show us? To me, it looks like we are seeing very similar movement in the market to what we saw in 2020. It's not similar to what we saw in early 2021. I'll show you that. And also 2017, maybe a little bit similar to that. But if you look here at the beginning of 2020, remember, this was before the Bitcoin halving in 2020. So this is basically a year behind on the cycle from what I'm showing you. But the market went up towards the end of 2019. You could see the market, this is Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin went up into January, also into February, which we kind of saw the same thing happen. I'll show you guys well, let's just pull this up right now so that you guys can see the similarities in what we're talking about. Let's pull this back to maybe the 3 or 4 month chart. And so, yeah, you can see here that basically from 2023, the price kind of went up towards the end of the year, right here in November, kind of went up all the way. So we definitely have similar kind of moves towards the end of 2019. And then what you can see here is from the middle of February, this is the middle of February 2020, the market started moving down. And then a harsh down move at the end of February 2020, the same week that I'm recording this video, the same week we started to see the move. And so there's a lot of people who are saying, oh, this is just a bear trap. We're not going lower. We're going to go straight up from here. I don't know that's necessarily true. I do think that potentially $50,000 is in play, $70,000 is in play because we haven't had any major correction closing some of the major gaps if we zoom out on the market chart. And so what you see here is this kind of dip into the beginning of March. And what happened in 2020 at the beginning of March, because the markets dropped just this much, the Federal Reserve came out right about here, right about where the kind of local bottom to that first drop happened, the beginning of March, and they came out and said that they're going to do an emergency rate cut. And basically, a rate cut is good, but doing it as an emergency rate cut means the Federal Reserve called a special meeting and then had a special rate cut put into place, meaning things are probably worse from an economic or markets perspective than we were anticipating. And then what you see happen is the market's selling off into the next 2 weeks until basically they shut down the economy at the beginning of the pandemic. And then the markets kind of stabilized. And then we started to see the conversation about money printing and the more and more conversations about how much money they were going to be printing. That's when the market started to react. And basically they recovered all of these losses by July. So within 3, 4, 5 months, all of these losses that were created at the beginning of 2020 were recovered. And we were back to those levels. So a lot can happen in a very short period of time, but this is what it looks like to me. And so again, if we go pull this chart back to where we are today, we had upward movement from September into December and then into January, and then downward move. And we're kind of on the same trajectory. So we can continue to go down into the next Federal Reserve meeting, which is the middle of next month. And also, we're going to be hearing about the federal budget. You know, if they can get that passed, and is that going to create more money printing? Is the Doge situation with government efficiency and saving money going to also impact what is spent money on? Are they going to send $5,000 out to people? Are they going to stop tax on tips? Are they going to slow down federal income tax? All of these kind of situations can be net positive. I mean, if everybody gets $5,000, just remember what happened in 2021 when they gave or 2020 when they gave everybody $1,200, right? I mean, everybody started spending money. And so if they do that with 5,000, it's going to be to a much larger degree. And this is going to be a net positive for the markets, net positive for companies, net positive for earnings, profit, all of this kind of situation. So what we're seeing here with this correction, this brings us back to November pricing, right? So basically erasing the whole Trump pump after the election. But we still have this huge gap to fill. And this gap could bring us down to 60,000. This gap could bring us all the way down here to 50,000. And so those numbers are still in play in the short term. But the bottom line, guys, is has any of this, just because the price moved down, changed any of the thesis behind crypto or just the investing or the 4-year cycle or understanding the limited supply and demand, the institutions getting involved, governments getting involved, banks getting involved? I mean, generally speaking, I still think that it's very bullish. We may go down to 50,000. And if we go down to 50,000 in Bitcoin, Solana is going to be under $100. Ethereum, potentially under $2,000, maybe even under $1,000. And so what we're going to be talking about tomorrow is some of the traders in the market are saying this is your opportunity to accumulate. So when we do have that correction or the move up or the bull rally or money printing or governments getting involved with buying and banks buying, what is this going to do to the prices? And remember, like we can go down 40% in a week in crypto, but we can also go up 200% in a week or a month. And so, yes, the markets are down. Yes, there is a lot of red in the market across the board, but we're really not down that much, right? I would expect Bitcoin to go down at least 50%. And you're going to say, Cryptoviser, that's too much. We're not going to hit 50,000. Well, I just showed you the gaps on the chart. But besides the gaps on the chart, right? If you look at Solana, Solana is already down 50%, right? The all-time record high was $260, which we reached recently, right? Right here, $260. We're now at 130. Well, we hit 130 earlier in the day, right there, 130 bucks. So that's half. That's a negative 50%. I was looking at some of the meme coins like Peanut the Squirrel. Peanut the Squirrel was over $1. Now it's like 15 cents, 10 cents, 8 cents. So there are significant changes in some of these prices. Some of the cryptos are holding up. Does that mean they're going to continue to hold up? I don't know. But the bottom line is the general thesis hasn't changed about crypto. The general thesis hasn't changed about the investing 4-year cycle. And so for me, I'm not even, I mean, the only reason I really pulled up the prices was for this video, but I'm not looking at my portfolio. I'm not doing any of that because it's not going to change anything. And nobody really knows exactly what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. We can just use the best judgment based on what is going on in the markets, what the narrative cycle looks like, where the money's flowing, what the banks are doing, what the billionaires are doing. And to me, they're still buying Bitcoin. And so I would definitely recommend watching tomorrow's video. It's going to be on the market crash where we will talk more in depth. I'm going to show you guys data that shows kind of why the prices have come down, potentially how this is impacted by large moves in ETF issuers, also large moves with in terms of purchasing for the to recoup damages from the Bybit hack or buying from the ETFs or all different MicroStrategy buying. There's a lot of different mechanisms here that we know about, and there's also mechanisms that we don't know about, right? What about the countries or the companies or the wealthy families that are buying or selling that we don't even know about, right? Because there could be a lot of billionaires or multimillionaires that are looking at the markets now and saying, this looks good, but we may go down further. And if we go down further, somebody's going to buy it at those prices, right? And then you start to see the reversal and the change in the market, and then people becoming more bullish. And then as the price goes up, people become more bullish. And then as much red as we see today, there could be all this green tomorrow. And so I'm still bullish overall on the overall crypto markets. Are you? Let me know down below in the comments. Check out my other videos on the channel and check out tomorrow's video as well. See you when I see you. Crypto on.